Esther chapter 4 and verse 14, where it says perhaps, or the way I grew up hearing is it might just be you were born for such a time as this. Maybe. It's possible. It might just be. When you look through the pages of Scripture, or you look even through history, it's impossible to miss that every generation has some type of enemy to face. For Joseph and Mary, it would be King Herod. For King David, it would be the Goliath that he would be up against. Maybe for you, it's something more personal. Maybe your enemy is cancer or some other health issue. Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's something emotional like depression. Maybe it's this one that we all have in common in this room. Just go ahead and just pinch yourself. Real hard, just pinch until you be like, ow, that hurts. And this is what the Bible calls your flesh. And it has one goal: pamper me, comfort me, pleasure me, numb me. And your flesh demands that you give into its cravings. But the Bible teaches the opposite. Your flesh is to be subject to your spirit. It's to be subject to the will of God in your life. It's to serve the will of God in your life. And if you allow your flesh to have what it wants, it will destroy your life and even potentially take you to a place called hell. Maybe not a great Christmas subject, but it's very real that we all at least have this one enemy in common. Not even beginning to go into the world and the devil and all of those things. We have enemies. We have things that we're up against that if we don't learn how to deal with, it can rob us of the purpose that God has for our life. For Esther and Mordecai, it was a man by the name of Haman, this incredibly powerful man in the Persian Empire, this massive empire that went all the way from Ethiopia to India. It was comprised of 127 different provinces. 7 princes oversaw those 127 provinces, and all 7 of those princes had to report to Haman. Anything they wanted to get to the king had to flow through this man Haman. And I love Esther because you go back and you look at all that she had already overcome, losing her parents as a child, overcoming the sense of abandonment and the sense of being alone in life and having no one to look out for her. And then you see her come through all of that as an orphan. And now she's in the palace. She's arrived, she's made it, she's become a great success. And you would think that she shouldn't have all the struggles she had outside the palace or before the palace. She should be set, she should be comfortable, she should be secure. Yet inside of the palace walls, she encounters the greatest enemy she had ever had. It wasn't something she wanted. It wasn't something she was prepared for. And Mordecai says, it might just be you were born for such a time as this. Esther, you can act like it's someone else's fight. You can act like it's someone else's battle. You can act like you're helpless, or you can step up and seize the opportunity you've been given. In the Christmas story, it's put together like this. In Galatians 4 and verse 4, it explains what's happening in the context of time. It says this: in the fullness of time, God sent forth his son to be born of a woman. And when you hear the Christmas story and you watch Mary and Joseph, they weren't ready. They had other plans. They weren't prepared for what was going on. But yet the fullness of time had come. Time just got full. And Christmas is the announcement that God's timing is rarely our timing. Rarely are we ready for God's timing. It might just be that you are like Esther, that you're here in this room and you were born for such a time as this. You didn't plan for it. Maybe up to this point you've been hanging on to some bitterness or some offense, and it might just be it's time to forgive. Maybe you've been struggling with some kind of an addiction in your life, and it just may be time to say, with God's help and God's strength, I'm gonna overcome that thing. Maybe it's just finally time to surrender fully to the purpose of God, the will of God, the heart of God for your life. Maybe it's just time to say, I'm gonna step into a new season. I'm gonna quit allowing that one thing that happened, that one event to define the rest of my life. In the fullness of time, Christ came. In other words, heaven was ready and time was ready. And so God brought forth his son. This is exactly what's going on with Esther. She's not ready, but heaven was ready and time was ready. And she had to make the decision, am I going to miss my moment with destiny or am I going to seize it? And you have to decide the same thing.